Well, welcome everybody to our online program for the alumni of the Sunshine Coast Health Center up here in Powell River, BC. And we're going to talk about something called self-image. In psychology, we know from research that every human being has an image of himself or herself. They think of themselves in a certain way. And interestingly enough, in some of our experiments, what we've discovered is individuals have a much more positive, generally speaking, individuals have a much more positive view of themselves than people around them. So, for example, we'll ask somebody, what do you think of yourself? And they'll tell us, and then we'll ask their lover, their best friend, their parents, and it's quite interesting that people around them might have a little different take on the person than the person does himself or herself. Anyway, this is important for the recovery field because most addicts have what we call a weak self-image. And it's a weak self-image is one that sort of the behaviors, the actions that people do don't quite match the image that they have of themselves. So for a typical addict, they might think, oh, I'm a good guy, right? I'm dependable, I keep my word, and all that. So that's what they believe of themselves. On the other hand, they will do things like maybe they'll borrow money without any intention of paying it back, or promise something and not keep their promise. All these sort of behaviors that go against this image that they have of themselves. People with a strong self-image, on the other hand, their outside behaviors match their values, their beliefs, what's inside them. And this matching, they feel no need to distort or deny reality or to make excuses for, what they're doing, all that sort of thing. So, on the other hand, there's some addicts who are we would probably consider psychologically to have a strong self-image. The most obvious example I can think of is Barfly in that movie, right? So Mickey Rourke is Barfly. At the end of the movie, at least, where he returns to the bar, getting drunk every day, getting into fights with the bartender, he feels no need to distort or deny who he is. He doesn't make up excuses for wanting to go back and getting drunk every day. He doesn't feel the need to justify his behavior. He just says, look, this is who I am. And by having the sort of the outsides match the insides, he feels better about himself. Right? So that's an example of an addict who's got this strong self-image. Okay, but most people who come into treatment for addiction, they have this weak self-image. They know that the things they've done haven't really matched what's inside of them. And this gets expressed in many interesting ways, and we'll talk about some of them. And the first way that it gets expressed is generally in manipulating others. So a typical thing would be, Dad, my truck just broke down and I need to borrow, $1,000 to fix it. Now, the reality is very likely that he just wants the money to go buy drugs. But he feels the need to make up this lie and to tell his family, right? And so, obviously, at one level, he can't really come out and tell his dad what he really wants the money for, because chances are he isn't going to get it. But really, psychologically, it's coming from the self-image. He's actually embarrassed about being a drug addict. He knows that, it's not a good thing to lie to your dad and all that. So he's aware of these things, but his self-image is very likely, look, I'm a good son, I'm a hard worker, all of these kinds of things. And so if he can maintain this image of himself, present this image to other people, then he'll be okay. The whole problem arises when sort of the outside world interrupts that belief system he has about himself. And then now he has a tough time holding on to this belief, I'm a good son, I'm a hard worker, because now he's been, now reality has popped in, right? And he's clearly lied and manipulated his father into getting money for the drugs. So manipulation is a common expression of people who struggle to have their outside actions match their inside. And actually, if you want a really good example of people's outside matching their inside, just think of little kids. I mean, they have no problem at all letting you know when they're angry or when they're sad or when they're happy. I mean, their insides match their outsides. It's only as we get older and some people feel this need to distort or deny what's going on with themselves, right? And that's where the weak self-image comes. At any rate, that's just one thing, this manipulation thing, and we'll be back next week with another example.